6 minutes starts now.
It's halftime. Chuck Malamut is on deck.
He's refused to resign, but a Florida sheriff is under increased pressure. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
What we have here is a poorly run agency.
Florida State House Speaker Richard Corcoran and 70 other Republican lawmakers want the governor to suspend Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel for how the department handled the school shooting in Parkland and warnings before it about the gunman being dangerous. Governor Scott says
we're going to have mental health counselors in every school to make sure that all of our students can go through counseling or meet with a mental health counselor as often as they want.
A state Senate committee has approved a bill raising the age for buying a rifle from 18 to 21 with a 3-day waiting period and would let counties in Florida allow teachers who are trained to be armed. President Trump supports that.
And we're going to do very strong background checks. Very strong. We've got to do background checks. If we see a sicko, I don't want him having a gun.
And the president told the nation's governors,
don't worry about the NRA. They're on our side.
Well, critics of the NRA have helped drive companies away from the gun rights group, but one of those companies is now taking heat. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more live.
Delta Airlines is part of more than a dozen companies ending their business relationships with the National Rifle Association since the Parkland, Florida school shooting that killed 17. But now Delta's under attack from the second in charge of its home state. Republican Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle, who is president of the state Senate, tweeted he would use his position to sink the proposed sales tax exemption on jet fuel. The comments come as Delta, one of Georgia's largest employers, appeared close to getting lawmakers to restore that $50 million exemption, Dave.
Tanya, President Trump's fired off several tweets this morning about the Russia investigation, quoting legal experts saying there's no evidence his campaign colluded with Russians. So the president's final message was witch hunt, all caps, exclamation point. Democrats have suggested that he and Republicans are trying to undermine the special counsel. Today, White House Communications Director Hope Hicks will be questioned by the House Intelligence Committee. This is Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k, IRA, or investment account? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. Experts warn of a stock market crash any day now, and you could lose 50% or more of your hard-earned savings again. But you don't have to lose a penny. There's a better, safer way to save for retirement, and you can learn about it in a free report. This method continues to grow your money even when the market tumbles. To get this free report, go to bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com. Bankonyourself.com.
When you're hiring, you don't want to sort through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Daryl has hired with Indeed.
Nothing has been this simple, this easy, and this effective.
Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
Students at Cherry Hill East High School could stage a walkout this morning, upset about the recent Florida shooting rampage and a lack of security, they say, at their school.
You can just walk in. Nobody really checks you. There's really no security at the front doors.
Junior Rachel Wimmer says students are also unhappy because a popular history teacher was suspended last week when there were questions raised about the school's lack of security. The Florida legislature has given preliminary approval to a bill raising the age to purchase rifles to 21 and create a 3-day waiting period to buy the weapons. They've also advanced a measure allowing teachers to be armed in class. State lawmakers move ahead with plans to let your local town set up a charitable trust so you can donate your taxes to it. It's a way around that new federal cap on state and local tax deductions. New Jersey Transit warning travelers who use the North Jersey coastline there may be additional delays starting next week as they work to remove a pedestrian bridge. I'm Eric Scott, and this is the Town Square News Network.
Hey, it's meteorologist Dan Zero. Did you have your house for sale last year and it just didn't sell? Call Robert Dukansky of RE/MAX First Advantage. Nothing can be more stressful than needing to sell your home than just watch it sit for 6 months or more. Henry and Ann went through this with their home in Pine Beach. It sat on the market with another agency for 6 months and nothing. They called Rob because they knew they would have at least one offer on the table. Rob's team listed the home, and after a dozen showings and less than 45 days on the market, the home was successfully sold. Rob guarantees to sell your home at a price and a deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it. And there's no risk to you because he'll let you out of the contract anytime. Last year, Rob sold over 750 homes, yet when you list with him, you feel like you're his only client. So call Call Rob Dukansky today at 855-350-1015. That's 855-350-1015 or online at robsellsnj.com. That's robsellsnj.com and start packing.
Pretty straightforward forecast for the next couple of days. On this Tuesday, sunny skies, daytime highs in the mid-50s. Overnight, clear with lows just like Monday night, getting into the mid-30s, but not freezing. Increasing clouds tomorrow. Wednesday's highs in the mid to upper 50s. Then rain arrives in southwest Jersey Thursday morning. Gets into North Jersey by afternoon. Highs in the lower 50s. There is some concern about coastal flooding, beach erosion, and rough surf as rain continues into Friday. Hopefully we'll get a clearer picture on that as it gets closer. I'm Patrick Lavery.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
6 minutes past the hour, Chuck Malamut is here. And this is our weekly financial program, all about your financial matters. Chuck has been doing this now for 27 years as the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. Chuck Malamut is the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office for all of your financial planning needs. Turn to Chuck and his team, 609-383-2010. They'll be happy to introduce you to their concept of total asset management coupled with the all-important asset allocation. 609-383-2010 is the direct number to reach Chuck Malamut and his team. The following program is paid for by and presented by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this program are those of Chuck Malamut and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, member SIPC. And a hearty congratulations. If you didn't hear me break the news last week, not only is Chuck Malamut a recipient of the coveted annual Barron's magazine, that's the Dow Jones Business and Financial Weekly publication, their power list of America's top 1,200 financial advisors. Chuck also made the coveted top 50 list in New Jersey because, of course, to make the top 1,200 in the entire country, you have to make the top 50 list in your own state. Chuck has made that power list many times over the years, and for the first time ever, Chuck Malamut has been awarded the Forbes magazine Best Wealth Advisors member status in America. They select 2,000 financial advisors in America. Chuck is number 25 in the state of New Jersey. They included 93 of the 2,000 overall in America from New Jersey. One of the things we're going to be talking to Chuck about, the Dow really rallied big time, not just yesterday, but when you look at the numbers, the major averages are down just 3% from their all-time high. So not just 3%. I think this is a very important distinction because the media is getting this wrong. They're talking about within 3%. This is not within 3% of the time that the correction hit. This is within 3% from the all-time high of the markets. I think that's absolutely just amazing what has happened after, of course, what happened within the last several weeks. Chuck will start with his market update. He's going to talk about can stocks continue to move higher, bond yields and inflation, the economy, household net worth, and anything else that will come up this hour with Chuck Malamut, who joins us now. Good morning,
Harry.
Chuck.
Good morning. Good morning, Kirk.
Chuck, I'm very excited by that statistic that I just shared, that our markets are within 3%, not since the correction, but within 3% of all-time highs. That's a big comeback.
It is pretty amazing when you were looking just a couple weeks ago, and there was a fair amount of despair and a lot of anxious people, more I think on the institutional side than individual investors, because what happened, and Kirk, you and Harry kind of discussed this for a few minutes in the last hour. The trading was not driven by individuals. It was all that initially computer trading, and then you just get a deluge of sell orders and sell, and no one's on the buy side, and ultimately that's when we had that day we were down 100 every 5 minutes until we got down 1,600 points in the Dow, stayed there for a few minutes, and then rallied back somewhat, closed down 1,100 for the day. And at that point in time, I guess it's considered somewhat of a victory because you're down 1,100 instead of being down 1,600.
Chuck, we won't solve this today, but does something have to be done in terms of technology insofar as how that, impacts? Because of course the media, with their ticker, they blow it up even bigger than it always is, and then they show this horrible, fast downfall, and maybe something has to be looked at, that the technology is faster than the human being, man versus machine.
Well, there are, as you know, measures in place to stop the market if once we hit certain triggers. And
we came close but didn't hit it.
We became very close, and I'm not quite certain if you did in fact hit the trigger. Does everybody sort of step aside for a few minutes and then you resume trading, and then you get more of the same until you ultimately, wash out all the sell orders on the sell side, and then conversely on the other side, the buyers step in. But I think what happened at that point in time, and the fact of the matter is that the economy is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that was the reason it happened. It was good news.
And a lot of the strategists and the program trading that went into the fact that you have a lot of the inverse ETFs that have been created. So the VIX is the volatility index. The XIV is the reverse. And what happened, that was the low volatility trade that a lot of institutions made big money on for several years because there was no volatility. So in a matter of a day, they virtually got spanked and lost 95% of the value of that asset.
Wasn't it kind of ironic, though? I don't even know if it's irony. To me, it's why I have so much respect for you and what you do, because we had threats of war with North Korea, all kinds of geopolitical risks that you've talked about over the years. Nothing was getting in the way of this incredible trajectory that was going on. And what then finally brought about a more than 10% correction was good news. That's hard for normal people to even process.
Well, unfortunately, Harry, the one thing about the market and we've been doing this for 33 years, 34 years?
Yes, sir.
Is the fact that, when you think you have it figured out, you need to really step aside because you haven't. And the market will do what the markets need to do. And you think about, what happened in January where you had all this euphoria and the markets went up by 7%. And you said it and we talked about it. And it was interesting because I went back and took a step back. I never really do this, but I said I'm really curious as to the discussions that we had during January and into February, and then when we had the correction, what we said, your listeners should do, and I remember specifically saying in January that you just can't keep making these moves without flushing the system, so to speak, and so we didn't flush the system. The system basically dumped itself, and then in a relatively short period of time, cooler heads prevailed, and I remember the week that the market was really bad, we said, put your list together. This might not be the time. We're not going to call the market bottom, but it felt very, very close. And, for the astute listeners and investors that did that, they were rewarded for that.
Do you think the analysts are surprised that all but 3% of the all-time high is already back this quick?
I think, yeah, I think everyone was sort of, usually corrections take, anywhere from 3 to 9 months to work their way through. This one happened very, very quickly, down intraday 12% from highs to that low. Rebounded back down 10% on the close, and then ultimately, the market had some firmer footing. And now look where you are. I mean, the NASDAQ erased all their losses. S&P 500, these indices are very, very close to what's to all-time highs. And it's not only happening domestically, but it's happening more internationally as well.
We'll take our first time out. It's 15 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut is here. For all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck Malamut and the Malamut Group, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, 609-383-2010. When we come back, I will pose the question to Chuck. Can stocks continue to move higher? We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Paul D'Amato.
Harry Hurley.
Paul, I know our listeners want to know what's new with the D'Amato Law Firm.
Things are great, Harry. We are so privileged to represent our clients whose lives have been turned upside down because they were involved in a serious accident. We meet on a regular basis. We copy our clients on all our correspondence so they always know what's going on with their case. We try to treat them like family. We have Alexa here, my daughter. I'm so happy that she's here. We have Steve Van Natten and Casey Gifford. We're a great legal team.
They're the D'Amato Law Firm for all of your personal injury legal needs. Turn to the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program for more than a quarter of a century. The D'Amato Law Firm in Egg Harbor Township, 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. Tell Paul, Alexa, Sandy, the entire team that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
Stuck in an expensive timeshare contract and feel like there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO of Wesley Financial Group. I've helped thousands of people get rid of their timeshares.
I didn't realize what I was getting into. The whole thing was just a scam. I finally found information on Chuck, and he agreed to meet us. It was just a wonderful experience because he knows that business inside out, and he actually wanted to solve our problem.
I fought the largest timeshare company in federal court, and yes, I won. Whether you owe $10,000 to $250,000 on your timeshare, we can help cancel your mortgage. When you're approved as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, eliminate your payments, and get them off of your back permanently. And we proudly hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for your free consultation at 800-478-7733. That's 800-478-7733. 800-478-7733.
And this portion of Hurley in the Morning also brought to us by cosmetic and restorative dentist Dr. Alan Chenman. He practices a full scope of general, cosmetic, and implant dentistry with expertise ranging from porcelain veneers to dental implants, crowns, and bridges, along with inlays and onlays. Simply put, Dr. Chenman can correct a wide variety of the permanent cosmetic dental problems. He can redesign your smile. I've seen it. If you go to SmileCenterNJ.com, click on the photo gallery. There's a hyperlink right there that will lead you right to it. You can look at before and after cases. Truly remarkable, transformative results. People that wouldn't smile and would cover up their mouth, and it's a whole confidence thing. It's not just aesthetics. It's how you feel. It's truly incredible what Dr. Chenman can do. And along with Dr. Henry Salama, who I think personally, and he is my dentist as well, the finest implant dentist. He is chronicled. He travels actually the world and lectures, and he's right here with Dr. Chenman at 1999 New Road, Suite D in Linwood. The first step towards a beautiful, healthy smile is to make your appointment. Call Dr. Chenman, 609-601-2199. More likely than not, you'll speak to Shannon, the appointment coordinator, 609-601-2199, and tell Dr. Alan Chenman that I, Hurley in the Morning, sent you. We continue with Chuck Malamut, all about your financial matters. Chuck, can stocks continue to move higher?
Harry, we think so, and we are obviously always cautiously optimistic. When you get into volatile times, and you think about the fact that we virtually had no volatility, for a couple of years, and ever since the Great Recession, there's always the market pundits looking for reasons that could trigger an end to the equity bull market. So you think about it. The S&P at 666 back in March of 2009. And what has happened to the equity market since? The most recent concern is an increase in interest rates, the bond yields, the 10-year Treasury. As we approach the end of the year, the 10-year was trading at roughly 2.4%. And in a relatively short period of time, on the heels of tax reform, bond yields spiked on the 10-year. Now, for the average investor, most investors are really tuned into the equity market and don't really understand what happens with the bond market. So you always have that push-pull in, what's going to lead? Is it going to be the bond market? Is it going to be the equity market? And what happened here is, when we moved to over 2.9, actually we moved to 2.95% on the 10-year, and it happened very, very quickly. And then that was the trigger. And then the word inflation comes back. And I was listening, I think it was maybe yesterday when we were talking a little bit about inflation. Yes. And what's really inflation when you take out certain factors.
Right.
So inflation,
oil, food, just don't count.
The little things don't really count,
right.
but inflation has been a part of our lives. You go back and you look at, if you bought an automobile, 30 years ago, what the cost of that automobile was in today's dollars versus the cost of a new vehicle. But what is happening here is, the increase in interest rates and inflation, that's basically spooked the market. And so, we were in many years of basically zero interest rates and no inflation. So that's changing. Global growth, is working domestically, internationally. And we think what's going to be happening, although we saw a pushback in yields the other day. As I mentioned to you, traded to a 2.95. We were down in like a 2.82 yesterday, I believe, 2.83. Right now we're about a 2.87. So the big number in the room is 3%. That if you cross through 3%, I don't know what the difference is between 2.9 and 2.95 and 3, but I don't. The magical number of 3, everyone is dead set. That's going to be, that's a devastating number to push through. Maybe that's like a milestone, so to speak.
It's interesting. You brought up something that I think about from time to time, but I never really thought about it the way that you phrased it. And it was more like almost 40 years ago. The end of Jimmy Carter was when I could finally afford a new car. I bought a new car with perfect credit at 21.9% interest. My current interest rate, and I don't know that I couldn't probably get this now, but I would come close, probably be under 3. My current interest rate is 1.9. So 21.9 40 years ago, it's probably more like 38 years ago versus 1.9.
Well, on the flip
side, that's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, but on the flip side, think about where money market fund yields were. Back then, you had money market yields in excess of 15%. Mortgage rates, home mortgage rates were through the roof. So
does that make it
interest rates and inflation
more
go
relative, or is it still debilitative? I mean, you think about right now, I've had basically free money versus 21.9%. But you're right, on the yield side, you would get a very high yield.
Well, higher interest rates and higher inflation, ultimately are devastating. Look at Venezuela.
Yes.
I mean, this country, was the leader in South America, and right now you can burn their currency; it's worth nothing. I mean, I heard this statistic yesterday. The average worker last year in Venezuela lost 25 pounds. It wasn't because they were on Jenny Craig.
No.
It was because they're starving. There's no food. I mean,
they were eating the zoo. They were eating the animals in the
exactly.
zoo.
So
and they were gone. They were eating their pets.
So now you think about with runaway inflation, that is ultimately what happens. Now the fact of the matter, I mean, they have oil, they can drill, but if you don't have the technology and you don't have the workforce, you can't produce the product to export to ultimately, help, your balance of trade.
Yeah. And you're also mentioning a nation that spends its money differently than a free nation would.
That's for sure. I mean, and that kind of wraps around that whole conversation that you had last hour with respect to socialism, and it's, and I don't know who said it was. I don't know if it was Bob or you or Harry or you, Kirk, that at 20 the kids Kirk, you said the kids don't know any better.
He was quoting Churchill.
Because they're socialists, and then they grow up.
He said if you're a socialist at 20, it's because
if you're not a liberal at 20, you have no heart.
Say it again.
If you're not a liberal at 20, you have no heart. And if you're not a conservative at 40, you have no brain.
So there you go. Now, that's, of course, with all things being equal and people having the opportunity to have free will and to be able to evolve and grow.
I think some of your political friends down in Washington might take offense to that comment.
That was Winston Churchill.
But it is what it is. So
rather effective
so
leader.
To answer the question, equity markets can move higher from here. I mean, think about what has happened with respect to earnings. The majority of the companies have reported, and the reports that we have seen to date, top line, bottom line, are beating. And the fact of the matter is, on a go forward basis, the numbers look that much better.
Chuck, after the bottom of the hour break, we're going to give you an opportunity to share your thoughts about the economy and also about household net worth. But let me throw a wild card item in while we have about 3 minutes before the bottom of the hour break. You oftentimes, over the past 27 years that we've done your program every Monday in the 8 o'clock hour, you've talked about real estate as one of the important rungs in the stool. And what we're seeing now over the past couple of months, I think you got to also throw the weather in here with part of it. But home sales are down a certain percentage. I think it's like 5 point some odd percent, maybe even more this month, and they were down last month. Obviously, a robust real estate market is very good for our economy. Are analysts at all concerned about real estate at this time?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the question. I think what is happening, Harry, and we have seen it with some of our clients that are looking to either relocate or buy a second home. There are parts of the country where when a home goes up for sale, it ultimately ends up in a bidding war. And what the sellers are demanding is on the front end a pre-qualification letter. That the buyer is a legitimate buyer and has the financial ability to buy that home.
They want to see the funding is secured, correct?
Yeah, and a typical pre-qualification letter, is very specific. Price, rate, payment. And what is happening now, a lot of the sellers in parts of the country are insisting on a more defined letter, specifics, and asking for financials, asking for brokerage statements, asking for bank statements. Because when you're lined up and you have 5 or 6 buyers, the sellers,
you can be very choosy.
You think about it, as we oftentimes say, when everyone goes to the left side of Kirk's boat, what happens? Everybody goes to the right side of Kirk's boat. What happened, Harry? Save that, because I know what I mean. I've known you well enough. I know exactly what you're thinking about. But what is happening is in the real estate market, that's what's happening now in San Francisco. San Francisco area has been ongoing for quite some time. Now we're seeing it in Florida, and we're actually seeing it, believe it or not, in parts of the state of New Jersey.
Wow, shocking. That last part was shocking to me. And when you think about it, it wasn't that long ago where you'd thank your lucky stars that you had one buyer. And how can I help you? The buyer. So the pendulum has swung to advantage seller.
Advantage seller. Unfortunately, here where we are, we're still advantage buyer. I mean, the inventory is starting to clear a little bit,
and our home values are going up. I've seen it.
And at the same time, don't forget that your property taxes are also moving a little bit higher, and your SALT deduction is going to take place very soon, or is taking place now in 2018.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. It is happening, but people won't feel it. It's a delayed fuse. It's already happening, but nobody feels it yet.
I think you're going to have a lot of very disappointed listeners come next year at this time when they begin to put all their information together or file their
But of
taxes.
course, it'll be right after the elections.
It will be after the elections.
That's how they get away with this stuff.
And we're hearing, and actually I heard it on your news feed this morning, that certain municipalities are trying to line up and create charitable organizations. So you fund your property taxes to that organization rather than funding it to the state, and ultimately you get the charitable deduction, and it's not going to impact SALT. But you got a lot of hurdles to clear here. I mean, I can't imagine the IRS is going to go for that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Kirk mentioned something to me, and I think it was off the air. We didn't get a chance to cover it during his program, and that's that Steve Sweeney, who I continue to report is really he's our hero for the foreseeable future in the state of New Jersey. He's proposing that at least at the state level, that the deductibility for all of this stay the way that it was. And that's not the big impact that it would have at the federal level, but at least it's him doing right. It would be a new deduction that didn't exist. So that's excellent. 31 minutes past the hour. We'll be back in just a few minutes. You're listening to Chuck Malamut. Chuck Malamut is the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program for the past 27 years. And Chuck has also been recently decorated not only by the coveted Barron's, the Dow Jones Industrial Business and Financial Weekly publication, but also as one of the top 1,200 financial advisors in America. But Chuck has also recently, just over the past several weeks, been selected for the first time in his career by Forbes magazine as a member of Forbes' Best Wealth Advisors in America. They select 2,000 financial advisors. Chuck is number 25 in the state of New Jersey, and there's 2,000 overall in all 50 states that can make this list. It's very rare, very impressive indeed. And if you give Chuck a call at his office at 609-383-2010, you'll find out very quickly about Chuck's concept of total asset management coupled with the all-important asset allocation. When we come back with one more power segment with Chuck straight ahead, the economy, household net worth, and more, as Chuck Malamut continues his weekly discussion all about your financial matters.
WPG Talk Radio 104.1 is now available on Amazon devices with Alexa. From Hurley in the Morning to the local news, traffic, and weather that you depend on, WPG is now available anytime on your Echo, Echo Dot, or any other Alexa-enabled device. We'll help you set up Alexa at WPGTalkRadio.com. Then once you're ready, simply say,
Alexa, WPG.
And you'll be listening to South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
This is Harry Hurley for All Season Solar, our official and exclusive solar energy provider to the Hurley in the Morning program. They design and they install the most attractive, efficient, state-of-the-art solar photovoltaic systems from the world's leading manufacturers. What I love about dealing with All Season Solar, they're your single point of contact. They do the system design, engineering, your building permits, installation, and the ultimate glorious utility connection day. They take care of everything under the sun so that you can sit back and reap the savings. Call Frank Neal today, 609-317-5491. That's Frank Neal, All Season Solar, 609-317-5491. There's never been a better time to go solar. The benefits are there. New Jersey leads the East Coast and second largest in the entire United States in terms of solar energy panel installation. No deposits, no hidden fees, no out-of-pocket costs. All Season Solar. Tell them Hurley in the Morning sent you.
Your credit card companies love you. They love it when your cards stay maxed out. They love it when you only make minimum payments. They love it when you struggle. Why? Because they own you. And minimum payments mean maximum profits. Here's great news. National Debt Relief is now offering you free information on how to escape your credit card debt nightmare. If you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt and only barely making minimum payments, know this: you may not have to pay it all back. In fact, you may have the right to settle that debt for only a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has helped thousands of people get rid of over $1 billion of debt, and they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get the information you need for free right now before this offer goes away. Call National Debt Relief now and escape your credit card debt troubles. Call 800-815-9591. 800-815-9591. That's 800-815-9591.
Stuck in an expensive timeshare contract and feel like there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO of Wesley Financial Group. I've helped thousands of people get rid of their timeshares.
I didn't realize what I was getting into. The whole thing was just a scam. I finally found information on Chuck, and he agreed to meet us. It was just a wonderful experience because he knows that business inside out, and he actually wanted to solve our problem.
I fought the largest timeshare company in federal court, and yes, I won. Whether you owe $10,000 to $250,000 on your timeshare, we can help cancel your mortgage. When you're approved as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, eliminate your payments, and get them off of your back permanently. And we proudly hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for your free consultation at 800-478-7733. That's 800-478-7733. 800-478-7733.
Hi, it's Mark Levin. Join me at 6 this evening. Now back to the Mayor of the Morning, Harry Hurley, on WPG Talk Radio 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
We continue with Chuck Malamut, all about your financial matters. Chuck Malamut, the managing director, he leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office, 609-383-2010. 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. What are your thoughts about the economy, Chuck?
Well, Harry, I think that, as we kind of said a few minutes ago, that we seem to be firing on most cylinders at this point in time. And the fact of the matter is that it not only is it working here, but it's working better overseas. When you look at our strategists, what they're calling out for is you're going to get global growth, and probably in the foreseeable future, global growth outside of U.S. is going to be higher and stronger than what we have seen seen within the country. So, readings that are coming out of the purchasing managers, readings that are coming out of Germany and their business climate, for instance, more robust economy is underway there than what we're seeing here domestically in the U.S.
Even though what I'm about to say would seem obvious based on what you just said, it doesn't necessarily have to be true. So I'm going to put it to you this way. Is America leading the way and the world is enjoying the wave, or is the world doing very, very well and America is going for the ride?
I think it's more, Harry, the latter than the former.
Interesting. That's not usually the way it is.
Because when you look, for instance, what is happening with the growth, and because what happens, it's like anything else. So we live in Atlantic County in New Jersey in the United States. So most of our focus is on what is happening locally.
Right. Parochial.
We really don't spend a lot of time talking about what's happening in the Midwest. We don't talk about what's happening on the West Coast. We don't talk about what's happening in the South. Talk about what's happening in New Jersey,
where we're directly affected.
And so what is happening here, if you look at the economy, the acceleration, continues. Manufacturing, service, composite purchasing managers indexes, they've all increased more than expected during the month of February, showing some broad-based economic growth. But what is happening, the numbers that we're seeing are better outside U.S. than they are inside U.S. But all of us as investors have a tendency to invest our money domestically because we understand more what happens within our markets than what happens in Asia and what happens in Europe. So I think what your listeners need to clearly understand, not only asset allocation, but within the equity asset allocation of a portfolio, what percentage of assets do you own, outside the U.S., and where are they located? There's certain parts of the world that are doing better than others. And I think now is a very good time, to reassess your situation and understand, how close you are to retirement, what risks you're willing to take, and what percentage of equities you're willing, to own within a portfolio. And I think a true testament to all of this is take a look back at where we were 2-3 weeks ago, and how were you feeling? Were you at the point where you were totally exasperated with what was happening with the markets?
And maybe some people panicked and hurt themselves.
You're always going. Well, look, you're always. That's always going to happen. And then conversely, on the flip side, you have the more astute investors that are saying, "Well, I purchased this security at $100 a share, and I really liked it at 100. So now it's at 85 or 90, and I have an opportunity to increase my position." That's what an astute investor does. You sort of.
So there were buying opportunities.
Absolutely. I mean, we talked about this last week. What was happening? A lot of the companies out there have in place the buyback programs because they're so flush with cash, they don't know what to do with it. There's only so many opportunities. Like this morning, I heard that Comcast was in the process of a potential purchase, but there's only so much that can be done. So when you have a buyback program in place and the market goes down by 10%, then that company has an opportunity to buy back their stock that much cheaper.
Chuck, I thought I printed them, and I'm going to have to go by memory now. I thought for sure I printed. You ever think you did something, and now I can't find it? But there were several, and I know you don't talk about any one stock, but I'll just put it in general terms. There were several very, very nice earnings that came in yesterday. Part of that 400-point.
Well, I'll give you an idea. Like I just saw this morning on as we're chatting, Macy's, with for the most part the brick and mortar retailer, had earnings that beat expectations.
GE as well. I remember seeing that.
GE will save that for another day because that's what I'll call kind of a company in crisis.
Yeah, I agree.
For a lot of different reasons, but
they did have they had good news though.
Yeah, but that's we'll hold.
Yeah, fair enough.
We're not going to go there. How's that sound? But what is happening here? And I don't have the stat in front of me. I'm trying to get my hands on it as well, Harry. But 90% of the companies have S&P 500 have reported, and they have beat expectations for the most part. To the tune of increased earnings. When you do the math, it's about 15% year over year. So the bars has now been raised higher. And so where do we go Q2, 3, and 4? And did what we witnessed, and not what we lived through a couple of weeks ago, was that sort of an aberration to the rule? Did we create a reset, wash out the weak hands? Still there's a lot of margin debt, which ultimately sometimes signals a market top. And that's something we have to be concerned about and we have to pay attention to. And while we're doing that, we have to be very, very conscious of what's happening with interest rates, the 10-year. I mean, I'm not quite certain what's happening with, if local real estate is slowed down here because of interest rates that move higher with respect to lending. And, think about, you move 25 basis points on a mortgage. That takes a lot of buyers out of the equation of potential buyers. So, long-term rates have moved higher, short-term rates have moved higher. I think ultimately it's not such a bad thing. The cost of capital is more expensive to companies with higher interest rates, but we had to move away from the zero interest rate scenario that we lived through for so many years, and there is a very big positive here, which I think is being ignored. Your money market yields, I'm not quite certain about this savings accounts yields and what you're going to find at a local bank, but money market yields throughout the country right now have moved significantly higher over the last 3 to 4 months. So now you're actually getting paid to have your money on deposit. I mean, we're seeing money fund yields at 1.20, 1.2, 1.3. Short-term certificates of deposit, 1.9, pushing 2. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but 1.2 is better than 0.1.
Sure. And that, of course, affects also Social Security recipients. that were not receiving any increases because there wasn't any measurable inflation. I saw something that surprised me. I'm not going to mention the name of the bank, but I looked at branch banking as something that was over a number of years now really evolving, less of it, if you will, because technology again and all this. There's a major bank, I think, that's poised to open something like 500 new branches. You probably heard of it.
I did not see that. That's very, very surprising.
I'll tell you during the break.
But what is happening here?
I'm surprised by it. You know the bank very well. I'll just put it that way.
The regionals.
You worked for them for a long time.
Okay, the regionals did very have done very well, and at the same time. But I think that, what we're going to see, we see the world change, and as we're seeing the world change, I think that provides opportunities for your listeners, and I think that if you kind of we didn't get through a whole lot here as far as what we were going to probably talk about, but bond yields. As I mentioned to you, they push 3, they get through 3. That psychological number. We don't think the yields are going to get to the point they're going to actually derail the equity bull market that we have in place right now. Inflation is going to probably continue. There's no doubt about that. Don't be surprised if unemployment falls to near 3% in 2019. And you know what happens?
Which is really beyond 100% employment.
Yeah, so when you get there, that pushes wage growth, which obviously pushes inflation. We talked about how the economy is starting to continue to accelerate. Productivity is there. The consumer, believe it or not, total U.S. consumer net worth could soon surpass $100 trillion.
That was the number I was going to end with, and I was going to have a split decision with you because you said we didn't cover that much. You did your market update. You talked about stocks continuing to move higher. You talked about bond yields and inflation. You talked about the economy, and now if you give me another minute of overtime, household net worth. Why is that important?
So you think about if you're feeling good about where you stand financially. The likelihood is if you taking that extra vacation, or you upgrading your vacation, or you maybe buying a second home, or making a large purchase of another vehicle, for instance. So what is happening? Yeah, we're 100 trillion. That's a big number as far as total U.S. consumer net worth. Rising home prices, an increase in the stock market. Are the two major contributing factors as to what has driven that number above 100 trillion. So, having said that, we still think that there's a ways to go in the market. We are, again, I'll use that word, cautiously optimistic. Yields are higher, inflation is potentially out there, but the advances that we saw in 2017. Harry, we don't think we're going to be there. We're not going to. I think it's pretty impossible for the market to make that kind of move again in 2018. But again, we're going to stick with that, high single digit, low double digit number. I think as far as we get to the end of the year. I mean, think about
coming off last year. That would be a heck of a follow-up.
I mean, think about when you had it in January. Think if you closed the books at the end of January, you were there, but. Then this month of February showed up, and the first 2 weeks of February were obviously, pretty,
but now you're
pretty painful.
You're about 70% of the way there.
We're within earshot, and I think it's like anything else. As an investor, you need to be astute, you need to be attentive, and you need to. There will be opportunities. There's no doubt about that.
Chuck, awesome appearance. Great to be with you. Congratulations again on all your success. Chuck will be with us 1 week from today in the 8 o'clock hour, all about your financial matters. And for all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck Malamut, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office at 609-383-2010. I'm going to go to the break now. If you want to jump in, we'll have a mini open forum segment at 609-407-1450. If you want to call in right now, we can take a few phone calls in a few minutes. 609-407-1450. And I'm now going to talk to Chuck about the major bank that's actually going to be opening up somewhere between 400 and 500 new branches. I thought it was like a spoof when I heard it. I was absolutely shocked about it, but it is absolutely in the plans.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff is brought to you by Integrity Physical Therapy and Wellness and Dr. Stuart Honig of Go Feet Podiatry.
While technology has made our lives easier, it is also making us more sedentary. James Levin is the inventor of the treadmill desk and has done extensive research on a sedentary lifestyle. He says sitting is more dangerous than smoking, kills more people than HIV, and is more treacherous than parachuting. We are sitting ourselves to death. Levin is credited with coining the new phrase, sitting is the new smoking. Sitting for long periods of time can increase the risk factors for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, increased waist size, and excessive abdominal fat. If you sit all day, get up periodically, take the stairs, park your car further from the door. Just get off your seat and move your body. Aim for at least 30 minutes of activity most days of the week. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff is brought to you by Integrity Physical Therapy. Put yourself in their hands and Go Feet Podiatry. Your feet will thank you.
We treat people well. Shore Physicians Group.
Shore Physicians Group is proud to include rheumatology among its medical specialties, allowing you to seek diagnosis and treatment for arthritis and other disease that can affect your joints, muscles, and bones. Shore Physicians Group rheumatologists Dr. Linda Brecker and Anna Serlusu are board certified in internal medicine and rheumatology. Together, these expert practitioners bring fellowship training and a highly personalized approach to the people they care for. Shore Physicians Group is accepting new patients at its Summers Point and Marmore offices. Most insurance plans are accepted. For a rheumatology appointment, call 609-365-6200 or visit shorephysiciansgroup.com. That's 609-365-6200 or shorephysiciansgroup.com.
Shore Physicians Group, treating people well.
How do you describe fun? Is it relaxing by the beach year-round at Landshark Bar and Grill? Is it a hot streak followed by frozen drinks at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville? Is it award-winning gourmet dining and live music and over 800 new slots and all the above? Find your fun at Resorts Casino Hotel, a Mohegan Sun property in Atlantic City. And with over $100 million in new renovations, there's more fun than ever. Get started at resortsac.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Harry Hurley, and I'm with the Mayor, Charles Kane, owner and operator of the Auto Plaza, Egg Harbor Township. Mayor, tell your listeners who are looking for a car, why should they choose the Auto Plaza?
Harry, it's our full-service department selection and hassle-free financing alternatives that have set us apart for over 17 years. Over the years, we've been the recipient of many sales and service awards, as well as receiving an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. It's been a real honor for us. We are now serving a second generation of sales and service customers. Stop in today. You're going to love our staff and experience what makes us different.
For all of your automobile service, parts, and sales needs, call the Auto Plaza at 609-646-2447. That's 609-646-2447. And visit us on the World Wide Web at myautoplaza.com.
The Auto Plaza at English Creek. Roll with Mr. Tire.
Hello, beautiful. I'm Amy Errett, founder of Madison Reed, a hair color company I named after my daughter. One of the things I value most in life is time. Time to spend with my daughter, time to spend with family, and the time I put into my company that's reinventing the way women color their hair. The busiest, most successful women I know use Madison Reed, the amazing hair color hack. In under an hour and for less than $25, Madison Reed delivers gorgeous, shiny, multi-dimensional, healthy-looking hair with an ammonia-free formula. You'll look like you just came from a salon, but the reality is you have more me time to do what you love. Things get busy. Let us take care of you and your hair. Find your perfect shade at madison-reed.com and get 10% off plus free shipping on your first color kit. Use code HELLO. That's code HELLO. Try it. Love it. That's the beauty of Madison Reed.
Hey, wake up with Harry Hurley and drive home with me, Sean Hannity, 3 to 6. It's all happening here on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
54 minutes past the hour. Remember I talked about earlier in the program, if you were with us, about I don't believe in coincidences, that things that happen, the timing of them, and so on, they happen for a reason. For example, can't prove this, but I suspect it. And I of course, don't know who's right and who is wrong here. And I thought And the last time I covered this, I actually thought that Ryan Seacrest had escaped this abuse and harassment allegation that had been made. He fought it vociferously. He refused to settle. I believe the offer was, Ryan Seacrest is alleging $15 million. And then the person, Susie Hardy, who's a single mom, she has a preschool-age daughter, she lands a job at Ryan Seacrest's company to be the personal stylist for E! News. And so this is 2007. And I talk to you all the time about how some people think that, hey, a decade, now 11 years have gone by. And again, I'm not treating this allegation as though it's fact because I don't know. I just know what's alleged. But there was a November letter from Susie Hardy's attorney, which was addressed to the cable channel E! Its corporate parent company is NBC Universal and Seacrest. He's part owner of the company. I mean, it's amazing what he's done. He went from like almost no-name, DJ, to American Idol. Remember year one with Dunkelman and I Am Dunkelman, to then having it, himself as the host, and now, of course, the reboot. And what I'm saying is, I can't prove it, but I think the timing of all this. Think about this. You have, and I can't. Some of the allegations, I'm not even going to. I'm not going to say. You can look them up if you want. But this woman, Susie Hardy, is alleging years of unwanted sexual aggression. I can't. They're legal words to say over the air. I could say them to you, but I don't want to say the words. They're just nasty. Go look it up if you want to know exactly what's alleged, but it is really graphic what's being alleged. So what's going to be interesting is what happens with the reboot. I mean, they're already well into production. In March, I think it's only a few weeks away, if that, they're going to reboot American Idol. Then, of course, you have the entire Seacrest brand, E! News, Dick Clark Rockin' New Year's Eve, and all of that. And this is a major, major allegation. And, we've been talking about the fact that we now live in an era where the allegation, in many cases, has become the same as a guilty verdict of a jury. People, for just the claim alone. That never used to be. No matter how serious the claim was, you always had a chance to defend yourself. I thought Seacrest dodged one here. I'm making a prediction right now. I don't know anymore because what is being alleged is so incredibly graphic, so nasty in nature and specific. I don't know if the individual has any photographs or anything like that, but so specific in terms of the allegations that it's going to be interesting to see. Remember, Steve Wynn was the largest shareholder, still is, of Wynn Resorts, and he could not survive. Now, this wasn't one allegation with Steve Wynn. It was dozens and dozens and dozens. This is one allegation against Seacrest. He repeatedly has denied the claims, but they are pushing this thing big time. And I think that Ryan Seacrest, because his whole brand, if you think about it, his whole brand is kind of built upon wholesome, good guy, nothing like. Wish I had a few more minutes. The music's going to play us out in the next 60 seconds, and it's going to start in the next few seconds. But keep an eye on this if you're interested in it. Some people could, care less. But it was an item that I wanted to share in my opening monologue, and we just ran out of time, that this former E! stylist has revealed specific and voluminous abuse and harassment allegations. And Seacrest, in my opinion, is literally fighting. I think he knows it too, but I think it's clear he is fighting for his professional life. He's multi-millionaire and all of that. But these are the kind of charges that in almost all previous instances has destroyed the individual before proven. just the allegation alone. And I will say this much. If one more or two more, several more come out, then you know how it's going to end. Sometimes one, even in this particular hashtag #MeToo environment, sometimes one you can survive, treat it like it's not true, it's an outlier. Maybe it is. And look, I leave open, maybe it's not true. But the allegations are extremely specific, including actually things like large welts visible hours later and so on. Shore Medical Center is next.
Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
There's hope for the Russian meddling investigation. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Hope Hicks, the White House communications director, will be questioned today by the House Intelligence Committee. A few hours ago, her boss tweeted a bunch about the probe using two familiar words. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
Witch hunt, the president tweeting and also retweeting two well-known legal analysts with their opinions on the special counsel's Russia investigation. The president quotes GW law professor